So right now the most divisive debate amongst United fans is probably around Marcus Rashford. And to me the whole debate lacks completely any nuance whatsoever. Is Marcus Rashford world class? I would say definitely not, but is he good enough for Manchester United? Almost certainly, and I would say Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and Marcus Rashford are United's best players by far. And if Erik ten Hag is to be successful at United this season, he needs to get the best out of these three players. And for me, whilst Marcus Rashford has certainly been performing below his level at the start of the season, I think with a few tactical tweaks and changes, Ten Hag can get Rashford back to his best. And I think Sergio Reguilón could be the key to doing this. But also if you want cheap good quality football jerseys for the new season or retro jerseys from the past 40 years, then check out jerseyfifa.com, a link will be in my Instagram bio, and if you use coupon code Atlantis you should get a discount as well. I'll leave my Instagram at the top of the description and comment section, and a link will be in my Instagram bio. So let's look at this example from the game against Crystal Palace, where I actually thought United didn't actually play as bad as they have in previous games at the start of this season. We see here Casemiro receives the ball in this kind of quarterback position as a part of the back three, with Sophie and Amrabat sitting in that deep single pivot position. Casemiro plays a fantastic long pass into the chest of Mason Mount, who lays the ball off into the path of Bruno Fernandes, who plays an exquisite pass out to Marcus Rashford on the left side. And you can see here that Marcus Rashford has now been able to isolate Joel Ward in a 1v1, pushing the Crystal Palace defender back into his own box. But here is where the problem lies. I think to get the best out of Marcus Rashford, you need an overlapping player. Someone like Sergio Reguilón playing behind him, who can provide this overlapping run down the side of the fullback. And what this will do is not only will it give Rashford a pass to play to Reguilón, getting him into a dangerous crossing position, but it would have also forced Joel Ward to shift slightly over to the right side, anticipating the run to his right, meaning that if Ward did go with the run of Reguilón down the outside, this would leave space for Rashford on the inside to cut inside onto his right foot and get into a dangerous shooting position before the Crystal Palace midfielder can come across and double up on him, eventually crowding him out. And I think this has been an issue for Rashford throughout this season. Every time he receives the ball, he's basically isolated on his own, and to be honest, he's not the kind of winger like a Saka or a Martinelli who specialises in these 1v1 situations. He's much more of a forward, and so he doesn't really have the ability to take on players in these situations, going down the outside and getting in a cross on his left foot. He can certainly do this, but ideally you want Marcus Rashford coming inside on his right foot and getting into these shooting positions in more central areas. Now this is where the nuanced part of the argument comes in, as I know people are going to leave the video at this point, go to the comments and tell me how Marcus Rashford's decision making is poor, etc, which is true to an extent. And we've got an example of this against Burnley. You can see here that United are on the counter. You can see as Højlund is about to shift the ball out to Marcus Rashford on the left side, that Rashford and Reguilón are close enough together where they should be looking to link up on this left flank. Rashford initially does exactly what he's meant to do. He drives forward, pushing the attack into the final third and isolating the fullback in a 1v1. But from here, what he should do is just slow up the play a bit, maybe shifting infield as well, creating the space on his left for Reguilón to overlap into. And if he does do this, I think United should be able to pretty easily create a 2v1 situation. However, to me, this just seems like a complete lack of coordination between Rashford and Reguilón, as Rashford isn't looking to create the space for Reguilón, he ends up overrunning it, and the chance gets diluted. And now of course this is Rashford's fault in this situation, he does need to do better, but I would argue that Ten Hag and the coaching team also need to be putting in patterns of play to make it almost second nature for Rashford and Reguilón to link up in these sorts of situations. And I do understand that Reguilón is new to the club, he only joined around deadline day, and so there's probably not been a lot of time for Ten Hag to work on these sorts of things. However, I think in order to get the best out of Marcus Rashford, he needs an overlapping player, or at least runners ahead of him. There's far too many times where he's receiving the ball, usually on a counter-attack where he's maybe only got Højlund ahead of him, and whilst he is able to isolate his fullback in a 1v1, because he's on the left side, he doesn't feel as comfortable going down the outside onto his left foot, and so I think a solution could be potentially during some games, having Marcus Rashford switch out onto the right side temporarily, as whilst I would certainly say that Rashford's optimal position is cutting inside from the left onto his right foot, I don't think he has to play on the left side. I think he can also be extremely effective from the right, and we saw this on a couple of occasions last season. Think back to his goal against Burnley in the League Cup last season, where he picked up the ball on the right side with a lot of space in front of him, carrying the ball from midway inside his own half into the final third before using a great bit of quick footwork to glide past a Burnley defender into the box before rifling a strike across the goalkeeper into the far corner. And he also scored not one but 2 goals for England during the World Cup from that right side, using his quick work to come inside and finishing with his left foot. But there are some other reasons why I would like to see Rashford used from that right side. Firstly, it would allow Garnacho to replace Pellistri in the side and be used from the left side. And whilst I definitely don't think Garnacho is going to come in and be an improvement on Rashford, I would like to see Garnacho get a starting spot in the side, but not solely used from the left side. I would like to see both Rashford and Garnacho switching flanks during certain phases of play throughout a game. And this would mean that during a specific game, both Garnacho and Rashford would have multiple opportunities, not just to cut inside onto their favoured right foot, but potentially also go down the outside on the right, and either put in an early cross for Højlund or get to the byline and cut the ball back. But also by using Marcus Rashford on the right side, I think this would give United better opportunities to take advantage of not just the overlap but also the underlap as well. And I think both Mount and Dalot could be the key to unlocking the creativity on United's right side. Here we see in the game against Crystal Palace, as Amrabat receives the ball here, we have both Mason Mount and Rashford on the same side. However, of course in this game it's from the left. As the ball gets circulated to United's left side, we can see that Mason Mount has retained a higher position in behind the Crystal Palace midfield, and as Victor Lindelof receives the ball, Mount intelligently makes a move wide of Ayew to open up the passing lane from Lindelof, and when he receives the ball he feeds the ball into Rashford higher on the left flank. But it's this next piece of movement which is exactly why I think Ten Hag brought Mason Mount to the club in the first place. As Rashford receives the ball, rather than holding a deeper position and offering a pass backwards to retain possession, as I think Christian Eriksen would do, Mason Mount has the legs to make an overlapping run ahead of Rashford, and on this occasion Rashford makes the right decision, plays a pass at the exact right time, and this allows United to double up on Joel Ward, the Crystal Palace right back, and get Mason Mount into a very good crossing position. However, because it's on his left foot, the quality just isn't there. However, you can imagine if this was from the right side and either Mason Mount or Dalot are able to get into this sort of crossing position, because it's on their stronger right foot, the quality would be a lot better. And I think by using Marcus Rashford on the right side and using the over and underlapping runs of Dalot and Mount behind him, not only would this allow United to create better chances through these crossing positions, but unlike in the earlier examples from the game against Palace, Rashford would not find himself isolated against one or two defenders, and the runs ahead of him by Mount and Dalot would drag defenders away, giving Rashford more space to come inside, potentially get into a goal scoring position, or just link up with some short sharp passes around the box, which we know he can do. But also, if Rashford was able to develop his game from the right side, this would allow Ten Hag to use both Rashford and Garnacho in the front three, which I think long term has to be the objective. So let me know if you think potentially having Rashford on the right side during certain phases of play would aid both his and United's game in the comment section below, and just put your thoughts there as well. You can check out some of my other videos which will be linked in the description, and remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified when my videos come out.